Lee Doran. Before I begin this response to you, I'd like to congratulate you on 30,000 subscribers. Well done. You made a video called Rule of Law is Dead in America, and your reasoning is that federal judge Roger Vinson ruled that Obamacare is unconstitutional, and yet the government is still doing it, which in your mind proves that Obama is a socialist who pisses on the Constitution, and I'm here to explain to you why that's just not correct. My first point is, and you already know this point, you mentioned this in your video, I'm not imagining that you have any ignorance of this. Vinson refused to enjoin or suspend the law pending approval. In other words, his ruling was not an injunction, it was a declaratory judgment. So he made the judgment that this bill was unconstitutional, and you acknowledge this, as I said, but you said that in the judge's ruling, he also said that he doesn't need to issue an injunction because the bill is so obviously unconstitutional that he doesn't even have to do that. They should just heed this ruling, despite the fact that the ruling doesn't have the legal weight to stop the bill from, being in effect until the appeals process is complete. And two federal judges, by the way, have already ruled that Obamacare is constitutional. They were both Clinton appointees. And, of course, the two judges that have ruled against it, Vinson, and I don't know who the hell the other one was, both of those guys were Republican appointees. So this is, Democratic judges are saying it is constitutional, Republican judges are saying it's not. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm not going to offer my opinion on that. I'm not a constitutional lawyer. I'm not even qualified to do that. So I'm not going to, is the point. But what I do know is there is vigorous debate surrounding this issue. This is not like, oh, everyone agrees, across the board, it's unconstitutional, and the Obama administration knows it's unconstitutional, and they're just doing it anyway. That's the way you're trying to frame this issue, and that's just not the reality of the situation. No, but let's say, even if this judge did enter an injunction, the Obama administration would immediately, and almost certainly be granted, a stay pending approval, which means that, the law can continue to be enforced until this is decided in the higher courts. And, let's be honest, we all know this one is going all the way to the Supreme Court. So, that's why I find this video ludicrously, because what you're basically saying is that our country doesn't respect the rule of law because we don't want laws that were passed by the elected officials of our country to be overturned by one guy who doesn't even file the injunction. He just makes a declaratory judgment of, yep, it's unconstitutional. He doesn't throw any of his legal weight behind that decision. He just says it's unconstitutional and everyone should just acknowledge that and stop enforcing this law. So, you're a lawyer, Lee. You already know all this stuff. I'm not explaining anything new to you. I mean, you're not a very good lawyer. You've never practiced law. I mean, you work for the Competitive Enterprise Institute. I mean, who's heard of it? I haven't. I mean, outside of you wearing your little Competitive Institute badge everywhere, Competitive Enterprise Institute, I haven't heard of that organization outside of that, and, so what, right? But you're a good enough lawyer to know that everything I just told you is true. You understand this, but what you're counting on is other people's ignorance. You're counting on your stupid fans to watch this video and be like, wow, Lee Doran done stirred me in the right direction. I know what's what now because I watched Lee Doran on the YouTube, and now I know. He's a lawyer. He knows what he's talking about in these legal matters. But you do know what you're talking about, Lee, and you know you're being disingenuous here. You know that you're overblowing something because you can rely on the ignorance of the people to not be able to see that you're overblowing it. But, if you're someone watching this video and you're a fan of Lee or you're a fan of me, don't take my word for it. I'm no lawyer, and don't take Lee's word for it because he's lying to you. Go do the research yourself. I have every confidence that if you do the research, you will see that I'm the one that's telling you the truth, and Lee Doran is manipulating the situation in order to gain some political brownie points, which, you know, that's his bread and butter, so I can't blame him for doing it. That's all.